Before we jump into it, what website are you using as your primary job search resource as you're conducting your job search? So go ahead and throw that in there. I'll put it in the chat. We got a lot of people saying LinkedIn. As you type in that response, yep, indeed. I want to briefly talk about upcoming and past workshops that are part of this Creative Job Search series. Each of these standalone workshops make up 1/6 of our CJS series, which covers the essentials of creative job search. Every Wednesday, we actually alternate between interviewing and resumes. So that's offered every Wednesday. We have a lot of participants that love that. So go ahead and go to the Career Force where you got to this site and log in and join those. Learn more about this workshop and other opportunities by following that first link that I sent in the chat. I like that everyone's throwing Springboard for the Arts. I like that, Hannah. I've gone to that one a few times. The following workshops are taught every Tuesday from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. We are currently attending week 4, internet and social media. Every Wednesday from 1 to 2:30, we also host a more focused interview class. Tomorrow it's September 27th, and resume writing the following Wednesday. To start off our day on a positive note, I'm going to go ahead and introduce a poll. It's an interactive way for us to engage with you and see what your options are or opinions are. We'll have 2 polls during this presentation, and we'll love to see your responses. In a moment, you should see a new window that says polling. Go ahead and read it. Open poll. All right. And the question is going to be, how did you find your last job? I'll give you about 30 seconds, 40 seconds for this one. Did you find it through a newspaper advertisement? Was it through print online? Or was it a help wanted sign as you're driving down or walking to your local Starbucks or Caribou? Was it online? Job board, Minnesota Works, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, etc. As well as the last one, D, networking. Traditional family, friends, colleagues, or social media networking. So I'll give you about 10 more seconds to finish that. As you submit your answers, I encourage you to turn up the volume, find a comfortable but not too comfortable place to set up for the day. Free yourself from those unwanted distractions, and we will see what your responses are. All right, so what's coming in is 34 out of 77. That's near half of us, right around half, are saying networking. Networking's the top one. And this is a common thing that I'm seeing, Lana, is that a lot of people, although there's help wanted signs listed all across Broadway, it just doesn't grab anyone's attention. It's not like, ooh, I want to apply there. And as you can see, newspaper advertisements coming in at 1, and online, the job boards at 19. So thank you for jumping in and answering those. I do want to let you know that your questions do matter to us, and we'll be getting to them at the appropriate time during this session. We are hopeful that this workshop will help you recognize different methods for job searching, identifying the perks of using the state's labor exchange, Minnesota Works, compared to other third-party job boards, such as the Indeeds of the world, the LinkedIns. Job boards are good to introduce you to locations that are hiring, but it's not my favorite way to job search. The importance of balancing your job search strategies, improve your current network efforts, cold calling, your elevator speech, informational interviews, and demonstrated the role of social media, although it's ever changing, is here to stay. As that first polls close, did you expect to see those results? When you got off, did you expect to see 50% of the people find their jobs through networking? We can understand that people find work through any number of advertised resources. That is why we encourage seekers to focus their job search or to industry or career-specific job boards that yield results. Set up certain days to cruise different websites and allow yourself ample time to network. A common problem we've encountered with many job seekers are they tend to have that tunnel vision when it comes looking for work. They narrow their search criteria to a word or a phrase that may be outdated, or they search by an occupation that is declining. Therefore, we encourage job seekers to look beyond that job title. In the chat, I'm going to go ahead and throw another way to identify like occupations that are out there. So if you typed in program manager, you would see, hey, these are other occupations that are very similar to program manager, and it gives you like an 89% rating. Other job seekers fall in love with the ease of applying online. If there is one thing, avoid that click of the button. If there's one thing you take away from this session, avoid mass applying. In fact, just avoid applying directly through third-party websites if you can. This will only cloud your job search success. Instead, prioritize what you find. First, apply for those positions that you know are a great fit for you, not with that silly quick apply feature, but with a tailored resume that tells appropriate story on how you are the right person for the position. If you're skimming the job boards and you find that dream job, verify it is a true job. Don't use the links that are within the posting. Instead, do your due diligence. Jump in there and research the position. Go to the website, type in Google or whatever search criteria you have. It is the best. It is best to always use caution on the internet. I wish I had my yellow flag to throw caution at a lot of these websites. If there are no caution flags thrown regarding the position, respond immediately with a tailored resume and cover letter through the company's correct employment portal. Unfortunately, closing dates are not written in stone. Some dates are assigned, but many private sector jobs will close close the opportunity after, let's say, 50 applicants have applied, or they find an ideal hire. To make myself stand out from the crowd from other applicants, I like to call and talk to the hiring authority directly regarding the position. I ask for a complete job description. That's something that you should also try to do, is ask for that description, because those job postings that we're seeing are very brief and they're just covering the names. But if you have a complete job description, not the job posting, you'll get more of what duties you should be putting on your resume of the skill sets that you can bring. You can also ask about the expected close dates and who I'm to. If there is with the employer before follow up phone call, post typically 2 to 3 weeks. Minnesota Works, which is our largest state job exchange, more or less is an online job board. Oh, I'm cutting out. I'm going to turn off my video and see if that works. All right. Currently, Minnesota Works is the state's largest job board exchange. More or less, it is an online job board. What separates the website from more familiar online job boards, ZipRecruiter, CareerBuilder, Indeed, or LinkedIn, is that Minnesota Works is 100% free to all end users, both employers and job seekers alike. Just turn my captions. Audio isn't a big deal when it's choppy. Okay. All right. You see most of our, Lana, do you have are you reading the chats?
Yeah. Yes. So one thing is, somebody's asking that you repeat what you said before you got a little choppy. So go back like maybe 2 minutes of what you just said. What you said before you found out you were choppy.
All right. So let's go ahead and back that. I'm sorry. This is the first time this has ever been such an issue for me. So the main things: avoid mass applying, avoid applying directly through third-party websites if you can. Prioritize what you find. So if you find a great position, go ahead and pick up the phone, call, verify that it's still a legit position, verify that it's a true job posting. Do your due diligence, research the position, use caution on the internet. Don't go over there and find Craigslist and see that they're hiring an actor. That's a good way to throw a caution flag, and respond immediately. call the company up, verify it's true, ask for the job description, expected closing dates, who you can tailor a cover letter to, and if you can follow up with a phone call. Typically, I would say 2 to 3 weeks is usually what I go with. Currently on Minnesota Works, hopefully that summarized it all. Is the state's largest job labor exchange. More or less, it's an online job board. What separates this website from more familiar online job boards, such as Indeed, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Career Builder, are some that you've named in the chat, is that Minnesota Works is 100% free to the end users, both employers and job seekers alike. You see most of the those online job boards, anyone with a credit card can post a position. Only on Minnesota Works, employers who are looking to hire within Minnesota will be considered. In fact, all employers are actually heavily vetted by RIT, Minnesota Department or Information Technology. Minute is what it's called. And this has been known to minimize the riff-raff scammers that are out there. As a job seeker, this is exciting as a virtual caution flag can be comfortably tucked back into our pockets as we cruise Minnesota Works looking for our next opportunity. Currently, there are well over 75,000 jobs listed today and less than 14,000 viewable resumes. And a job seeker can have up to 5 active resumes. Even better, these resumes do not have to be in a chronological order, which is organized by your most recent job being listed first. Instead, you can build a resume that focuses on past skills and highlights those jobs that are relevant to your career, listing the employment dates in a month tally versus the start and end date. As you advance in your job search, we understand that applications can be a barrier between you and the job you're aiming to get. A strategy that I have found very helpful to an open vacancy is put more effort into applying than the average person. If this position is open, call to verify the position is still open. Nothing is more frustrating when creating a resume for a dream job that closed this past week, or sometimes I've even seen that it wasn't even posted in this year. Ask to speak to that hiring manager who will be revealing the resume. Get their position title and correct spelling the name. This will help you if you decide to draft that cover letter. And if possible, as mentioned before, ask for the job description breakdown to be emailed to your email. Even though many of us have found success in past by looking for jobs online, moving forward, 75% of your jobs, this is worth a Google, will be found through people you know. We encourage you to balance your online time with other job searching activities such as attending conferences, networking events, volunteering, and participating in group outings. Before I move on, I'm going to go ahead and open up that second poll. In a moment, you'll see that poll, and we'll give you about the same amount of time. And it's going to be, how many people does the average person know? A is going to be 10 people. B is 50. C is 150. D is 300. And E is 600 or more. I have to say, this question always gets varied response. And in the last year, I've yet to see agreed upon answer or a clear majority. So as you submit your final thoughts to this question, ask yourself, how many acquaintances do you have? Are you average? Before we share the answer with you, I want to explain who is in your network. Your network is much, much bigger than you think. Try reaching out to past friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, and others who are genuinely interested in your well-being. Those are the ones who will be also interested in your success. But with the labor shortages we're seeing today, employers are offering bonuses to help employees or referrals. Start spreading that word that you're open to new opportunities. Find your traditional network and on your social media network. Let others know that you are currently transitioning from one job to another. That is something that you can put on your LinkedIn. It's a nice way to say it. You can also throw in there exploring new opportunities. It is humbling to see how others will go out of their way to help you jumpstart your career by leveraging their personal network. Considering adding all those additional factors, the family, friends, and acquaintances and their network, it is easy to speculate that our poll is in the hundreds. And as I'm seeing, has the most at 150. We have kind of a bell curve right now. So it's low, then medium, high, medium, low again. So I think that's an excellent input on it. Because hey, we don't know how big our connections are unless we go out there and start spreading them. So this doesn't mean each connection is invested in your future, but it does shed light on the power of networking and how the right connections can make the difference in a job placement. Here is a rhetorical question. Does your entire personal network know you are open for opportunities? Do your cousins know? Do your family members know? I talked to a job seeker last week, and I was talking to her about some employment opportunities, and she said, "Can we have this conversation later? I'm with my grandkids, and I don't know how to break it to them that grandma is in between jobs." So let people know they're going to go out there and help you. So to be impactful in your applications, go beyond simply applying. Find out who works there and connect the dots back to you. Today, with the use of social media, I would theorize that it will take less than 5 connections to reach out to any person on this earth. Robust job searching is about connection. It's not about perfection. There is no perfect job search strategy that will work for everyone, except possibly maybe networking. Whether you are job searching online or looking through the help wanted pages, there's one strategy that separates itself from the rest, and it's called the informational interview. We'll share what that is in the next few slides, but first, let's talk about how to get there. And Lana, let me know if there's any questions coming in the chat, and we can address those. The first step is becoming organized. Find an employer you want to speak to and prepare some honest questions regarding their company or available positions. Write those questions down and maybe even create a script or something that you can have in your hand, tangible, with talking points. I'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared and overwhelmed. Step 2, before the call, practice out loud. It helps to hear how you sound, and it will help you avoid too many filler words such as like. Step 3, when the phone call is about to happen, find an environment that is free from distractions. I personally like the car, the den, an office with furniture or a bedroom. Please stay away from empty rooms such as an unfinished basement. It will sound as if you're in the bathroom, causing an unpleasant echo. And if you're in the bathroom, do not flush the toilet or wash your hands, but you can wash your hands afterwards. Dress for success. Step 4, not like a suit or a tie or extravagant gown, but comfortable jeans, a sweater, button down, or a polo shirt. And finally, step 5, as you speak to the employer, don't forget to smile. You sound much happier and your voice fluctuates naturally. Those who are unable to speak can hear your smile, then the brain paints a picture. So, Lana, I'm just about ready to jump on the next slide. I did see you chime in for a few seconds. Do you have any questions?
One question is, do you have any tips for introverted people?
Yeah, so going out there there are many different ways to get out there. For the introverted, networking online can be one way to do it. Start building your LinkedIn profile. I am sure that you have connections from past past connections like schools and organizations that you've been attending. I know it's out of your comfort zone, but sometimes even reaching out to a nonprofit to offer some support, or getting out there and meeting people on, like, I'm just going to say Habitat for Humanity builds. Yeah, that's going to be out of your realm, but it puts you in the natural feeling of getting out there and helping others. So, and that's all shared interest. So, and volunteering, I have to say, volunteering is one of the best ways to find a job. And uh, because the people who volunteer at these like Habitat for Humanity, United Way, or any of these organizations are usually people that are um, stakeholders in the community. So that to me would be a great way to get your foot in the door with the right people. Hopefully that answers your question. And we'll hit LinkedIn here in a little bit. We're probably like 1 or 2 slides away. But if you followed these steps, organize, practice out loud, find a distraction-free environment, dress well, and smile, and put the extra effort into researching the employer, making a connection with them can be less daunting. Networking should never start off with, what can you do for me? Or what jobs are available here? How much do you pay? Or where do I apply? Those questions demonstrate your inability to do your own research. If you want to impress the employer, have a lighthearted and brief conversation. Let them know that their time matters and that you'd love to have a further discussion to learn more about the company beyond what their website or news articles state, and ask them for an informational interview. So that's that buzzword, informational interview. Stay positive. You may hear no more than yes. Here's a question to the chat. For those who have tried informational interviewing, have you found success? So jump into the chat. I want to see yeses, nos, and see if anyone has enjoyed that. Even though interviewing is part of the strategy, this is merely a casual conversation, usually scheduled during a coffee break. So an informational interview, success is found by those who are prepared for the meeting, dressed appropriately, and prepared to direct the conversation. So we're seeing a lot of yeses out there, which is great, and have a shared interest in the company. So an informational interview basically is just having a conversation with someone who has an impact at an organization. It can be a hiring manager, it can be a business owner. Just having a conversation saying, hey, your time matters to me, and I'm interested in learning more about your personal journey. And ask if possible to connect with them on social media. From TikTok to resumes to Instagram portfolios, job seekers are devoted to finding innovative approaches to get noticed by employers. Heck, I've even seen a cardboard on a freeway, a person holding a sign in California saying, hey, I'm a designer. Look at me. I can't find a job. Here's my QR code. And he got like 10 job offers afterwards. So there are 3 pillars to social media that really deserve our attention. And that's LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. The primary goal of social media is to help you connect with people, build those communities and groups, share ideas, interests, and information regarding the chosen profession. What started as a simple service has now evolved in a mandatory part of creative job search. The benefit of using social networks to grow your professional brand in terms of relationship building, portfolio creation, resume building, that all are endless. LinkedIn is a professional networking site. You can apply for jobs through LinkedIn, and recruiters use LinkedIn to find potential job candidates. Facebook and Twitter are merely private social networking sites, so be careful about what you post online. One thing I like to do is also consider Googling yourself to see what information comes up. If you find something concerning on Google, like your name is one of the top 10 most wanted, consider adding your middle initial or name. Many, if not all, employers will look you up if considered for the position. Check out the link in the chat box to see what your Minnesota rap sheet might look like. And I enjoy doing this. I do this with a lot of job seekers who are concerned about their background. So go ahead and check out that background check. You can check it. You have to have your first name, last name, as well as your birth date to identify if you have anything on the CHS or the BHS website. LinkedIn is no longer a place just to find people. It's a place for personal and professional growth. a place of business growth, a place of economic growth, and a place that makes a difference in professional lives. It's a community where you can be inspired, build relationships, and discover unexpected opportunities. Regardless if you're an avid or new user to the LinkedIn platform, the first thing you need to do is update all your information on LinkedIn. In fact, you need to become a LinkedIn All-Star and get that status, as it increases your chances to be recognized tenfold. So here's a question I have for the chat. Did you know LinkedIn gives priority to those who have an all-star status? Do you even know what an all-star status is? So go ahead and put on yes or no in the chat, and I'd be happy to see that they're going to be split. Look at that. 50-50 so far, leaning more towards no. Achieving all-star status is easier than you think. You just need to spend some time completing your profile and a bit of maintenance keeping it up to date. To find out what level you are, go into your profile and look at your dashboard where you see your current level in the top right. For those who have already achieved all-star status, it won't be there anymore. You're already an all-star. You got 50 plus connections. You have a profile picture. You've made some top skills. There are 5 levels awarded by LinkedIn depending on your profile's level of completion. As you complete your profile and add more content, your profile strength increases. You start out with a beginner status, which is given to users with less than 50% profile completion. To get this, you only need to register your profile and fill in the basic information such as your name, location, 1 job, and 3 skills. When you reach 50% completion, profile completion, you achieve the intermediate status. And that intermediate status is followed by advanced, which is given to those who have reached 75%. An expert is given to users who are at 90%, and the all-star level is given to those who have completed 100%. So for that question, where do you find your status? Typically, when it was on my page, when I was new to LinkedIn, it was on the upper right. I believe it's in your dashboard, so you have to click on your profile name and go to your specific account, and it will be either on the left navigation or the right navigation. LinkedIn algorithms actually give priority to users with complete profiles by ranking them higher in search results compared to users with incomplete profiles. So it's worth to invest some time in tidying up your profile, making sure it is complete. And here are the 8 steps to get to that all-star status. The first step to all-star status is posting that profile picture. Here's a good question for the chat. Of the images on right of your screen, which images are appropriate for LinkedIn? So go ahead and put your thoughts on that. Is it A, B? Is it A, C, A, D? Whatever it is, just go ahead and throw it on there. We understand, and this is straight from the LinkedIn website. 51% of LinkedIn users who have a fully completed profile have a picture. We understand starting something new can be intimidating. But if it's used right, LinkedIn is worth your time investment. If you need motivation to finish, call your career force. Ask them to review your profile and set a deadline, or write it down on Post-it notes. Hang it on your computer or wherever you access LinkedIn from. So Lana, what do you got coming in the chats?
Thank you. It looks like a couple of people, I know you talked about informational interviewing, so we kind of passed that, but I'm noticing that a couple of people were asking, what is informational interviewing? So I thought,
Yes.
I might want to have that addressed.
Yeah, so an informational interview is basically a conversation with someone who has a stakehold in a community or a company, I should say. So if you call and you say, "Hey, my name is Sam. I'm looking to see who would I write a cover letter to, or if I could speak to the hiring manager." Just having a conversation, even stopping in, as long as it's not like one of those protected buildings where you can't access. But if you are able to go to the front desk and just say, "Hey, I would like to schedule a meeting to learn more about your company and journey." It's a conversation, plain and simple. It's not you going out there and putting your resume in front of someone. It's just going to like Caribou or Starbucks or your favorite coffee place and sitting down. In fact, We'll address this here in a little bit, but LinkedIn has a spot where you can do informational interviewing through their website portal. So you can actually reach out to people that have attended conferences, or if you get introductions, you can sit down with them virtually and have a conversation through Teams or BlueJeans. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And if that doesn't answer your question, we'll put in the follow-up email a little more, but we'll have some time. Hopefully, that's why I'm going super fast through this at the end to answer any remaining questions that I did not jump into. So great question. Keep your questions coming in, and hopefully that answers it. Otherwise, you can just Google informational interview or go to the CareerForce website, and I think it's careerforcemn.com/informational interviewing, and it should bring you to what an informational interview is. So having a high quality picture, let's answer this question. Having a high quality picture is most important, getting noticed. An image on LinkedIn has 21 times more. I have to read this from notes because a lot of times. So by just having a profile with a picture, you have a 21 times more profile views than users without one. That's huge. Looking at the chat, we can see that everyone does have an opinion. So when I look at this, B and C are typically what I'm going to say is good. F is a great high quality photo, but most of her head is chopped off or forehead is chopped off. She could have a mohawk. She could have a lot of different things. We want to see a little more, kind of, if you can see my cursor, a little more of her forehead. The goal with your headline. So let's talk about found out if you're looking for a professional photo, you don't have to pay someone to do it. You can go to the local CareerForce. If you got one of those smartphones, or if someone has a smartphone, they can take a picture of you. So Dress for Success, call, get an appointment. Some career fairs even have professional photographers that will take those photos for free. So some state-sponsored career fairs, but they can take a picture, send it to their own email, and send from their email to you. That way, you get a really nice picture. And there's a lot of ways they can edit it for success. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. All right, your goal with a headline, as you can see, this is my current headline, is to appear in more searches and articulating your value proposition. There is no magic formula when it comes to a perfect headline. Your headline should align with what it is you're trying to achieve. Ask yourself, what do you want to find? What are they searching for? Answer these questions when writing in your headline. Have a little fun with it. I actually have like coffee lovers sometimes in here, just to throw it for a loop so people reach out and connect with me. This step is, so the next step, industry and location, is one of the easiest to get to an all-star status. In fact, usually most people have that in there. When editing your profile, make sure you enter your county, your country, postal zip code, and your industry. These areas tell the recruiters where you reside and what industry you're in. A lot of recruiters will search for job candidates on LinkedIn using the industry and location settings. So if you leave this blank, you'll be left out of some search results. For the experience section, you'll need to include your most recent or current position plus 2 prior positions. According to Forbes, LinkedIn members with current positions are discovered 16 times more in recruiter searches, and their profile views can be up to 29 times. Or so the experience points here, just like in your resume, should be achievement based and targeted towards your desired job or field. It should not be 5 pages if you were to print it off. 1 or 2 pages, just like your resume. Use your resume as an inspiration or a guide, but make sure you have revise and copy paste errors, as formatting might not look as nice on your LinkedIn profile. To achieve all-star status, you need to include at least 5 skills in your skills section. LinkedIn reports that users with 5 skills or more are contacted up to 33 times more than recruiters. Include skills that you're good at and skills related to the keywords employers are using to find candidates. One thing I've noticed on LinkedIn, I'll get these updates saying, hey, you'd be a perfect candidate for a workforce development manager. You have the top 3 skills, but you're missing attention to detail and organization. I can go back into my LinkedIn and add those skills. So a recruiter will say, hey, these are the skill sets that Sam has, and they're a good general match. So it's kind of nice that you can see what employers in your industry are looking for, and you can add the same to your profile as long as they're true. An easy way to find which keywords are go with your ideal role is to look for through 5 to 10 job seekers, 5 to 10 job postings on LinkedIn. After a while, you'll start noticing certain words popping up that you can use for your skills section. Out of all the sections in this post, as a wordsmith, this was the hardest section for me to nail down. Before 2023, crafting a compelling summary took time, it took energy, it took revisions, and coffee, lots and lots of coffee. But with the cutting edge artificial intelligence tools available to end users such as you and I, what took hours to craft only took a few moments. In fact, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, 80% of the content written about in my about statement was creatively borrowed from AI. This tool unraveled my career highlights, it organized my thoughts, and added some humor that connected to my headline. So what I did is I wrote a brief summary or a summary about myself. I brought it to an artificial intelligence, Google Bard or Bing, Chat, whatever Chat GPT is what some users use. And then I said, hey, shorten this to be an impactful summary for LinkedIn. And it did a really good job, and then I revised it. But if you are a self-proclaimed Luddite, a person who's opposed to new technology or ways of working, here are some conventional ways to create a strong summary. Use an opening statement that clearly shows why you're on LinkedIn. A brief summary of your work experience and your most impressive and relevant skills. Make sure to include relevant keywords here because it gives you a chance of appearing in more recruiter searches. A few bullet points focused on your achievements rather than your duties. You can quantify your achievements with numbers and even start your bullets with an action or verb to demonstrate your value. And a closing statement about what types of opportunities gets you excited and what kind of roles someone should get in touch with you. Be sure to include your contact information. That's very important. That last statement, include your contact information. The reason you want to do this is so they can call you, they can reach out to you, email you, because it shows that you're interested, you're available. But if you're, as I said, a lot of, be wary of that. If you don't feel like you want to be contacted outside of LinkedIn, state, hey, reach out to me on LinkedIn. We'll have a chat through Blue Jeans or whichever Teams I think they also have on there. The education is the next kind of really easy. The biggest benefit of adding this section is it gives you an opportunity to connect or be found by fellow alumni since you will have a built-in connection. So if you graduated from a small town, let's say Martin County West, which is where I graduated, you would be able to connect with past graduates of that school or attendees of that school. This section is also especially important if you're a recent graduate or student from secondary education. To reach all-star status, you need to have 50 connections. You can connect with others by sending them an invitation or by accepting their invitations. You can also jumpstart your connections by allowing LinkedIn to match you up with people from your email address book. Another way to start is simply by using the search feature to find companies you used to work at and connecting with your coworker, your ex-coworkers. Establishing those connections and interacting is a core part of LinkedIn, and the platform will reward you in search results if you have more connections. Every minute. This is straight from the CEO. I watched a video on an interview, and this is where I captured that information. Every minute on LinkedIn. This is every minute. Almost 200 people join. 9,000 connections are made. 4,500 applications are submitted, and anywhere to 3 to 5 people get a job. That is every minute. That is insane. Networking is the key to job search success, and it's difficult even under the best circumstances. But networking while unemployed can be especially uncomfortable. If this struggle is real for you, networking while unemployed is not as hard as it may seem. In fact, here are a few simple strategies you can do on LinkedIn to make the whole process much easier and more productive. When LinkedIn became mainstream back in 2010, I believe it was, you may have unintentionally accepted an invitation to be part of someone's network. One of those blow up social media events that no one knew what it all meant. If you have less than 25 connections and you're not really using LinkedIn in the past decade, start fresh and sign up for a new LinkedIn account to begin growing your network. Let the site walk you through the basics, identifying information, headline, work experience, education, summary, and possibly explore your email connections. In 30 minutes or less, you'll have an online presence that backs up the content of your resume. If you do have an established network, click on the connections and scroll through all of those second and third degree suggested connections. Sometimes here you can search by company and see that there's a second degree. You can ask for an introduction from a person who actually knows that person, and you can have that informational interview with that individual just to ask about their journey and adding a little statement saying, hey, I'd love to connect with you. Add a personal note or short statement of how you may know each other or who you know each other through. Every time I connect with someone or reach out to someone, I will say, hey, X, Y, and Z, this is how I met you, or this is why I want to connect with you, and just leave them a chance to back out if they're not wanting to connect. And if relevant, view their profile and endorse them for a skill that you have witnessed after you've connected. I just checked my account. I have well over, I think, 450 first degree connections, and I think it's around 400,000 second degree connections I could be introduced to. So right there, for that one poll that we have, how many people does the average person know? I got 400 just on my LinkedIn. My Facebook could add another 200 to it, and then that 326,000, that's an insane amount. 400,000 could be introduced to. Recommendations. If you are recommending someone, you can add a person note when submitting, and I strongly encourage you to do that. Before it is sent, add a personal note, ask the recipient for one in return. This is a very important step. Say like, hey, George, this was a great class, and I really enjoy working with you on this project, and I know you deserve this. If you feel like I could have one in return, that would be awesome, but don't worry. I know your success in your own right. Please feel free to reach back out to me. Something simple like that, a very simple note with an out option is very important. LinkedIn has well over 830 million members with over 58 million companies. A strategy I employ is to follow the companies that I desire to work for. Click on the people who have experience with the company. Maybe there's a hidden connection here or there, and begin a conversation with those who are in HR or past connections. If you do a little research, those who have LinkedIn Premium will see that you dropped by. And I believe you get like 7 views a month of if you're not a LinkedIn member to see who's looking at your account. Another strategy I've used is actively seeking is to share the company's articles. This is a huge way to get you in front of the right person. Comment on the articles, share on the articles of the recent posts. And then finally, content. Speaking of post, increase your LinkedIn traffic by sharing articles relevant to your profession. Try adding a hashtag to the article before publishing Another strategy is to engage with your connections with a name drop in the comments. So if I want to speak with Lana, be Lana, what's your thoughts on this? And I'll have that at symbol Lana or hashtag career guidance, whatever it may be. Do not allow your account to become idle. LinkedIn is about maintaining relevancy. There are a ton of tools accessible to those who are willing to include videos, hashtags, and incorporating an interview prep tool. With video being the next mega trend, and I know there's questions in the chat and I can't read them while I talk. I'm not multitasking, able to do that. With video being the next mega trend, LinkedIn has added more human way to connect, a way of content sharing by introducing stories along with other social media giants. This is allowing account holders to replace their essential water cooler moments with a short clip. And for those moments when a face-to-face meeting is the best way to get things done, or when it's not the best way to get things done, and they need something virtual, they have also added video call over Teams, Blue Jeans by Verizon, and Zoom directly from their message thread, which is a perfect place to have that informational interview, as I said in the past. With the influx of young users joining today, the platform is catering to those needs with elevator speeches. To add a video elevator speech, tap on your profile through your mobile app. It has to be through the mobile app. This feature does not work on your desktop yet, and I don't know if it will. Then tap then tap add profile video, and you can introduce yourself with a 30-second video clip. After sharing your video, add that hashtag when posting content you want searchable. When creating content for any social media post, I know Instagram, it's not as relevant anymore, but with LinkedIn, it is. If you want traction, we encourage adding a few hashtags with a simple phrase or word, 3 at most. You don't need to go 20. You don't need to overkill it with 20 hashtags about everything that possibly could be trending. You can actually check on LinkedIn what hashtags are trending. You can follow certain hashtags on LinkedIn. So it'll give you updates on your feed when individuals add hashtag LinkedIn Premium, just to follow what the success is. Hashtags are a useful tool for networking, finding job opportunities, and sharing your own job search to get noticed by employers who are using social media to recruit. So how do hashtags work? What's the best way to use them? If you use LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, you're probably familiar with hashtags. A hashtag is simply that pound sign that you see on the screen, followed by a word or phrase with no spaces. Lana, I did see you jump in. Lana, what do you got?
Okay, I have two inquiries. One says I have an informational interview with a contact through a professional contact of mine. This is the question. Should I reach out to the people at the informational interview to connect on LinkedIn, and there's no or. Now, should the request to connect on LinkedIn include a note? Yes, always. And then, or suggested content. And then I have one question after this one.
Okay, so the first one, yeah, you always include the note. You stated that, but see how the conversation goes. If you don't feel like the conversation was successful and you don't feel like it was a good feeling, if you didn't get a good feeling out of it, there's no need to connect. But you can always, before the interview, and this works for informational interviews or your interview. If you know who you're meeting with, definitely go on there and research them. It's not called stalking. It's not called jumping in there and what do they call it? It's trying to find, I'm trying to look for a better word than that stalking feature, but essentially you're going out there and researching. That's what you're doing, and it shows on their account that you did your research. You put more effort than the average person, so you are going to stand out for the crowd. Does that answer the question, Lana, or was there a second part to that?
Yeah, I think that answers. Thank you. Then the next question is, I don't know if it's LinkedIn related, but they said, how do I drill down on a job description? For example, director business development. I'm looking to stay in the animal health sector, but I'm getting notices from a very broad range of jobs in different sectors. I did say that out loud, but I actually find that we should probably direct that inquiry to the career force location, or she can reach out on Thursday to me directly, because that may be different. But it's up to you. I don't know.
You know, that's a good point. Always reach out to the career force if you think like it's going to need a lot of hands-on information for it. Go into the career force, your local career force. They can answer many of these questions. I threw in here jobhero.com/job. It's supposed to be dash descriptions, so I apologize. But if you go to jobhero.com and click on the description, type in there, it'll tell you like your daily scope. You're being too broad. So, and that's a problem. It could also be how far you're willing to work too. So sitting down with one of us as a professional who could go through your LinkedIn profile individually with you, I think would be the best step. For the longest time, being out of work was shameful, and job seekers were apprehensive, which is a good caveat on where we're going. Sharing something so personal today, it's a 180-degree turnaround. Job seekers are transparent in their posts. Your network wants to know you. They want to support you. Your network wants to hire you. Therefore, your network of connections, employers, and recruiters should know you are open for work. I just talked to a director who took a position up to, I think it was way up in Rosal. He's from that area, but he was working in Alexandria, and I was working with him for a while on his LinkedIn. And as soon as he added this banner, open to work, he had people reaching out to him from all over the state, which was great because he wanted to stay in Minnesota. He was able to get an interview, and I believe he moves in like a few days from our area up to Rosal. So they're getting some talent from central Minnesota. So those, when this first opened in 2020, this video frame or photo frame, they received 40% more in-mail recruiters and 20% more direct messages from the LinkedIn community. So if you choose to use this banner or not, we do encourage using the next feature, as it will be a great tool for you and your success. All right. So the interview. I'm really excited to share this tool as we finish our time together today. So if you have any burning questions, please throw them into the chat. And remember to use your local career force to answer any of your other questions that we may not have gotten to. Hopefully we did. I apologize for the and for you being patient. Thank you for being patient as I struggled with audio today. Navigating to this next session to your LinkedIn page is somewhat a little confusing without demonstration, so I'll try to give it a quick rundown. First, sign into your LinkedIn, click on your briefcase where it says jobs, and that will be that briefcase in the top center of the page on your navigation bar, and then click on the interview prep. If you want a direct link, go ahead and jump into that chat, the chat, and click on that link, and it will walk you through the process. There are 26 questions, general questions that employers generally ask. And the categories, if you feel the common questions are not the normal ones you would encounter in your profession, let's say you're a CPA or an engineer or an architect, you can choose from 14 different industries or location, occupation specific questions. Once you've reviewed those questions and committed to a response, you can either type this response or record a video to gather feedback. Artificial intelligence. This is another cool thing. The AI will monitor your filler words and how fast you talk. You can share. And here's the great thing. After you completed this, you can share your conversation, your answer to these questions with your first degree connections. So you can ask your first level connections, what do they think about this? So if you know someone who worked in hiring or in management, you can just ask them, hey, I'm looking for feedback. What do you think of this? It could spark a future connection at the company. So using automation tools in the hiring process is nothing new. And there's a good chance that your applications to jobs have been screened by a machine looking for relevant keywords or seeking to rank candidates. LinkedIn's own recruiting systems have used AI tools to suggest candidates for years. So although we think it's new, artificial intelligence, it's been actually available to other users for a long time. There are so many things that you can do with LinkedIn. And this is just covering a brief one. And we're hoping to create a more in-depth for advanced users where we can spend an hour or an hour and a half working on LinkedIn, showing you how to access it and maximize your success in the future. We are currently building that. So if you're here and you're like, wow, I want more, stay tuned. We're going to add that LinkedIn here shortly. You can watch a video on our virtual interactive site that walks you through the process and gives you some additional information. I'll throw that in the chat. Lana, were there any final questions that were not addressed today?
Yeah, I was on a question. Thank you that I was going to answer, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. There's one statement too. One statement says interview with follow up and they blow me off. I did put in a question asking about how that's communicated. I'm waiting on that to come back. Then somebody asked for the PowerPoint. I should have told you I would be sending a PowerPoint out when Samuel asked me to say something. So yes, you will receive a PowerPoint. One person asked, how can I add an end date for my last job when I'm currently unemployed? So I don't know if they meant to say currently working or currently unemployed, because if they were unemployed, they would just put the last date they worked. So I'm not sure about that question.
Yeah, so I've had questions very similar to that, so I'll let you scroll. But for that question, I think what she was alluding to, or that individual was alluding to, is if they are unemployed, when do they put their end date? And some people will do it right away if they want to avoid those connections, but other people say you can decide when you want to change that. I would say within 3 months. It's got to be changed within 3 months.
And then I have one other question that someone asked if they're allowed to connect with you on you personally on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, my LinkedIn account is linkedin.com/in/my name, Samuel Keel. And you can reach out a connection, but practice that note. Go ahead and throw a note on there. If you connect on before you click on my account, it may send a connection right away without allowing you to add a note. So there's different ways to do it. But I would love to see your connections.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think this is a statement. It is a statement. It says most places only looking to see who is out there and not really filling the position they advertise. And that person is welcome to call me when we get off this thing, and I can talk to them about that if you want me to.
Yeah. Do you want to throw down your phone number in there, Lana, for that person to reach out to you? Perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a common thing that we're seeing, Shelly, in rural Minnesota, that employers are advertising positions and they're waiting to hire the right person, or they have it out there and they're not really managing their website and taking it down. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. Again, thank you for being patient with my audio concerns. And remember, tomorrow from 1 to 2:30, we'll be hosting an interview workshop. You can find that workshop and many more from Career Force from Anywhere website. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lana, for helping and answering all those questions in the chat. I really appreciate it. And you have a great week. And if you have questions, let us know.